Okay, so in this aspect we're going to talk on macro and micro. And what do I mean by that? When I say macro structure, I mean those main swinging points. And when I mean microstructure, I mean what's happening in the smaller time frame from that main structure we're looking at. For example, in this case, 4 hours points would be our macro structure. So what do we mean macro structure? So let's say 4 hours, you clearly see the market is going up, down as the market's going up. Yeah, and when the market's going down, you see the same thing, like that. But if you observe and you see clearly, and in terms of microstructure, when you jump down to the time, we're talking about time frame here. So this is 4 hours, but there's actually looking at the market in different time frames. So there's a market structure. Market that forms new peak formation, new formations like troughs, and a similar market. It moves in macro, is moving in micro, but in a smaller time frame. So in 4 hours, in 1 hour, you would see something like this. So when the market comes in, or when it's coming down, the market will be moving like this, in a smaller time frame. Then changes direction to what? Yeah, so we want to change the color so it can be visible. Same as when the market was going up, it was going in a similar manner. Similar way in this market condition is in this bearish, the market is moving in small troughs in a smaller time frame, let's say 1 hour or 15 minutes. So when we talk about macro, we mean these points, big major, that happens in higher time frame. In our case, we'll be looking at 4 hours or daily as our major or macro. But in this strategy, we're just gonna focus on 4 hours. So all these areas in 4 hours, we call them macro, when it creates a new lower low, or in this case a high low, before the market moved down. So these market conditions that defines bullish or bearish, or uptrend or downtrend, up or down in H4, are the macro, and micro are the movement that happens in smaller time frame. We look at a real-time example here. Let's go with any example, any market structure. Okay, I don't want to really go far, I just want to focus here. Okay, so let's see a macro perspective. A macro perspective would be the market coming up here, creating a higher high, creating a higher high, creating a lower high, and onwards, right? This is our macro. Let me change the color to blue. Yeah, let me mark those macro areas here, 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 and onwards. Okay, but if I drop it down to 1 hour, let's see what we see right there. Okay, there, this is how the market looks in a smaller time frame. Okay, simple as that. So when we mark these areas, look what happened to them, what's inside them. Yeah, let me show you something here. look here, when the market came down, let me change the color so it does not confuse us. Okay, now it's clear. The market was trying to create a lower lows as markets went down. Here tried to work out in an accumulation or sideways market movement, then still did what? The market continued in making what? Lower lows. Lower lows. I mean, like making low, high low, lower low. Here did a lower low, high low, lower low. So these points where the market turns in smaller time frame is what we call a micro. Yeah, a macro points. Yeah. Right here, right now, I don't want to talk about a candlestick being bearish, being bullish. That will be on a different video. Here, we're just clearly talking on structure itself, nothing else. Yeah. Okay, so that was a macro example of a bullish market condition. Let's go on a bearish market condition. Let's go back to 4 hours, and here we have example. We're gonna clear that. Okay, so clear that one. Let's start from here, and yeah, path. Now here, market was creating lower low, I mean a high low, lower low, high low, and a lower low there. For some reason, I can't really move the market down, but anyway, it's more than enough for the example here. And let's change the color to blue, back to blue, and let's jump in 1 hour. Before that, let's mark these macro areas. Again, if you really want to understand where the macro is, always point the lower low that's been broken. So whatever breaks that low makes a new lower low. If you get what I mean from there, let me explain properly. So this lower low was broken down by a new lower low. So meaning this is a macro point. This lower low was broken and created a new lower low here. Now this was a macro point. Macro. Yeah. Here, high low, and onwards. Okay. So now you've understood how to, clearly get these lower lows or highs. When it breaks a previous high, becomes a higher high. It can become a higher high if it does not break a previous high or a previous low to make a lower low. That's how you know them, and those are macro points. So let's mark these all macro points, yeah, that we see here clearly. These 4 are more than enough. Let's drop down to 1 hour, and let's see the macro points in that. Okay, like this. Okay, here we are. Yeah. So let's go back to path here. Let's change. I'll change the color later on. So you can clearly see that the market was creating lower lows here, high lows, lower lows, high lows, and lower lows. As the market was going down, came up, tried to create that a bit, but then continued making lower lows as the market continued to go down. This is what makes this micro. Whereas in a smaller time frame, we can clearly see a market condition of bearish within a bearish market condition for higher time frame. So we call them low lows, but change the color maybe to blue or not blue. Let's make it something visible. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and also a high low. But yeah, and the market does again makes a lower low, high low, lower low, and high low again constantly. Same as here. Similar strategy whereby you make sure this low has been cleared. That's what makes it a new low low. Similar in all macro and macro structure. So here we have covered macro and micro structure. All these areas would be micro. All these areas would be micro areas for price action have to happen. Yeah. There are other aspects why this macro and micro is important that we are going to discuss in the element of trade setup. So if we go back, I know this is the longest video that has gone above 11 minutes, from 12 minutes. So what we have done so far, we have marked market structure down as well as the market movement, but this has been consecutive of 3 videos, and from here when we come back we come to market phases, and then PDRA, then element of trade setup, which I say is going to be more information on the market structure, what's happening, what's going on, and what it means, and what does it mean for your setup to trade on.